Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 10 of the Flyered Up podcast. It's the first time in a while we have actually done an episode like back to back. We've done one on Friday. Now we're doing it today following the Flyers game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And oh my goodness, I just can't describe how fantastic that comeback was from the Philadelphia Flyers. They were down 2 goals in the third period and a sudden outburst of 5 goals out of nowhere. And they come back to win this game by a score of 7-4. They take down the Columbus Blue Jackets, who were on a 6-game point streak at that point. And Jonas Korpisalo coming into that game, I think he had like a .940 save percentage and like a 1 point something goals against, even though he had minimal action this season. But that's like still nothing to mess around with. But scoring six goals because 7 goals was empty. One of the 7 goals was an empty netter. So 6 goals against on Korpisalo, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. And Brian Elliott in the net tonight for the Flyers wasn't his best performance, but this was his third start in a row. And Elliott can't play on top of his head every single day, so it's good to see the offense step up for him when he's not having his strongest outing. And Chris, what are your thoughts on this game?
That was a really good game. Everyone, like, I can't even really say like everyone played well, because there were some plays where it was just like come on, like Elliott, he was okay. I'd say 2 of the goals were his fault. That first goal the Columbus scored, and that third goal where I don't know how Jenner even got to that puck, but they struggled a little bit to get chances, I'd say. They kind of waited a little too long to shoot in a little bit of the second period, and then right after they tied it, they gave up a goal right away. And then early in the third period, they made it 4-2. But it's not something that I want to see happen all the time, because I feel like these last few years has been like, all right, well, we're down like 2-0 or 3-0, whatever the score is going in the third. They have to come back and win it. But it's definitely it's fun to see every once in a while, but I don't want it to be a trend. I was happy that they at least got out of that with a win. Even if it went to overtime and they lost, I still would have been happy, because they at least got a point out of it. That's really what matters at this point, is points. But I was happy they won, but I don't want them to continue with that trend of being down and not really being able to hold a lead or even a tie at any point throughout the game.
Yeah, I feel you 100% on that, but for some reason, this comeback win felt a little different, just because if you compare this to last year's team, if they were down by 2 goals at the start of the third period, like when Columbus scores that 4th goal at the beginning of the third period, the Flyers would hang their heads. They would look down. Their emotions would just be like, "Ah, crap, this again. We got to do this again." And they just look flat out defeated if it was last year's team. But for the way this team battled back, they put their foot on the gas and did not release at all. It's just scoring 5 unanswered goals to win a game. That's even though, like you said, like you don't want to see this to be a common thing, but like this comeback felt different for some reason.
I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, this comeback felt.
It wasn't like any other comeback where, say, because there's been many times where Simmons has tied the game late or something along those lines. It just didn't have that feeling to it. Like once Van Riemsdyk tied that game, I was like, they are gonna win this game. I was like, there was enough time on that clock, and they were pushing at that point. Like I 100% agree with you. That was a completely different feeling to like an end of a game that I haven't really seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was something very, very, very fun to watch in person, and I would assume on TV anywhere you were watching. But like the atmosphere inside the Wells Fargo Center last night during that third period was something amazing. It was one of the better atmospheres since the home opener.
Yeah, definitely, probably like a playoff game, I would assume.
Yeah, definitely. But instead, it wasn't sold out and still patches in the seats, which makes me mad. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Even though we talked about that last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So some big notes coming out of this game besides the comeback. Players like Jake Voracek, James Van Riemsdyk, and Kevin Hayes each get 3 points in this game. That is something that the 2 top performers on this team haven't done yet. Like get those major, I guess, pointages coming out of a game. Jake Voracek with those 3 points. James Van Riemsdyk now has 3 goals in his past 2 games, 5 points in his previous 2 as well. and it looks like JVR is starting to wake up. And JVR, we know, is a goal scorer, but he's not your traditional, let's say, sniper. Because I
Mm,
remember one of my friends talking about this, and I completely agree with him. JVR is not your traditional sniper. He's not like Alex Ovechkin, where he can pick the corners or he can
yeah.
just bury it. JVR goes to the net. He gets into the right spots, and he
Right.
allows people to feed him the puck to
Yeah.
tap it into the net, like both of his goals were last night.
He's a down low kind of guy, just like Simmons.
Yeah, and that's where JVR is most dominant, down and around the net. That's where he's going to get most of his chances, and that's where he's going to score most of his goals. And he's going to give you that one like few goals every time, like he did in Chicago, where he dekes out the goaltender or he shoots the puck. But JVR is more dominant when he's down low, so it's nice to see guys like JVR wake up. Kevin Hayes on that shorthanded goal. Oh God, the Wells Fargo Center went crazy after that. I almost lost my voice after that goal because I was screaming at Kevin Hayes to score. It was that crazy. So let's get into this game right now. So, starting off, a lot of penalties early. The Flyers take a very early penalty in this period. Columbus doesn't score off of it, and then Columbus takes the penalty, and then the Flyers get another penalty right after that. It's just four penalties in this first period, and I was like, oh my God, here we
Yeah,
go
there was
again.
like three of them in the first like 3 or 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah, it was, the Flyer Konechny took a holding in 25 seconds into the game.
Yeah.
Then Columbus got a penalty, and then on that same power play for the Flyers, Shane Gostisbehere allowed a breakaway to Boone Jenner, and he
Right.
took a trip off that.
I was thinking it was going to be just like the Calgary game, how tight they were calling it.
Yeah, it was not the sharpest first period in terms of penalties or non-penalty goals,
Yeah.
whatever you would say about that.
And that was
But
such a bad penalty by Ghost too.
yeah, it reminded, like you said, it reminded me of the Calgary game. The Flyers were on a power play, and
Right.
Ghost bobbles it at the blue line and allows a breakaway going the other way, and he takes a penalty. It's even Ghost in the beginning of this game, even though he does score in this game, Ghost looked bad.
He was very bad.
Yeah,
I said that like someone texted me. They said, "How do you think Ghost was last?" And I said, minus the fact that he scored, he wasn't good at all.
yeah.
Defensively, he wasn't good. He was decent on the power play. He scored, made it a 1 goal game. But besides that, he turned the puck over a lot. Took a penalty early. He was really sloppy tonight.
I completely agree, and hopefully that goal he scored, it wakes him up a little bit because he was very pumped after scoring that. So maybe that's the spark he needed just to get that goal off his back. So maybe. So the first period ends with really two fluky goals by both Flyers and the Blue Jackets. So Jake Voracek gets a puck from JVR behind the net. He's basically like right near the red line, and he just puts it on the net to Korpisalo, and it goes under his arm and squeaks into the net for a 1-0 Flyers lead, and that's a goal your goaltender has to have. But in Flyers fashion, they allowed the same type of goal to Boone Jenner of the Columbus Blue Jackets. So the way this goes, Boone Jenner is on the red line. He's basically behind the net, and the puck goes off of Provorov and also off of the back of Brian Elliott's it into the back of the net. And people in the Wells Fargo Center say, "How the hell did that go in?"
I had
So
no clue that went in.
yeah, me neither. All I saw was Columbus celebrating. I was like, "Oh, the puck's in the net. Oh boy." So it's a 1-1 tie after the first period, but the Flyers were getting the majority of shots in this period. But to start off this game, this was a more back and forth type of game in the first period. Shot totals were 11 for the Flyers and 9 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. But the second period, I would say, is when the Flyers started to wake up more, but they just weren't able to put the puck into the net. Because shot totals, even though sometimes that's a flawed statistic, when you get the most shots, that means you get the most scoring chances. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
When you get the most shots, sometimes it could just be a fluky shot. You just throw it to the net, hoping
Yeah.
it goes in.
Give me something
So,
from the blue line that the goalie completely sees.
yeah. And so shot totals in the second period were 18-12 in favor of the Flyers, but Columbus scores 2 goals in this period, and one comes early on from Pierre-Luc Dubois, gets his 5th of the season to make it 2-1 Flyers. And this was a little bit of a net bounce scramble. The puck's just bobbling a little bit in the blue paint. Brian Elliott can't control the rebound, and Dubois just buries it to make it a 2-1 Columbus lead. And chances each and every other way. Also, Columbus gets a couple power plays in this period, and on one of those power plays, the Flyers get a breakaway attempt, one by Sean Couture. one by Sean Couturier, and one by Matt Niskanen coming out of the penalty box. And both of those guys can't score. And that was a major letdown during that point. And even though Kevin Hayes does score shorthanded on later in this game, it's just like getting two shorthanded breakaways in one power play or one penalty kill, actually. And you got to score on at least one of them. So, and then going towards the end of the period, since Columbus does not score on this power play, and the Flyers do get a power play of their own. And it is a nice passing play from Shane Gosper over to Jake Voracek, who's on the left side of the ice. He throws it to JVR, which goes off of his skate and past Korpisalo for a 2-2 tie. And the Flyers look like they're waking up at this point, but literally not even a minute later, it's Boone Jenner once again. He puts it behind Brian Elliott. A little bit of a net bounce scramble again. Can't control the rebound. It's a 3-2 game. And what the hell is momentum at this point? Chris, do you have an answer for that? What the hell is momentum?
I don't even know. Right after they tie it, I flipped it over to the World Series. I go back, I see it's 3-2. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, they do all that and they tie it, and then they let that up. And then I saw like the overhead angle when Boone Jenner. I was like, Elliot, come on. I was like, you have to have that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where your goalie has to make a big. It's literally as Lou was announcing the goal for the Flyers that Columbus just puts it right into the net.
All I heard was like number 53, Shane. Oh, and it's in. I'm like, oh, nice.
It's always funny when Lou goes quiet after a goal when it's scored when he's talking. I don't know why, but it's funny.
I mean, like, I feel like that happens more than often. Like they're just announcing a goal, and then and then like the horn just starts going off. You're like, wait, what the hell?
I was talking here.
Yeah, really.
So it's a 3-2 Columbus lead after 2. And this was interesting during postgame. The Flyers and Alain Vigneault, as discussed in the postgame show, they were talking about how the team, they felt like they had a chance to win this game because they felt like they were playing a pretty good game at this point. And they were saying, we're going to win this game starting at the end of the second period and going into the third. But also before we get into the third period, Scott Laughton takes he blocks a shot during this period and he doesn't return. And that comes up later at the end of this game, which we'll get into after we're done with it. But it's a pretty big deal after this because Scott Laughton might miss some time with an injury. So going into the third period, this is really early on, 2 minutes in. It's a shot from the point from Kukan. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm very sorry if I butchered that terribly. But it's a shot from the point. It goes off the backboards and bounces right in front of Brian Elliott onto the stick of Josh Anderson, who buries it into the open net for a 4-2 Columbus lead. And my problem with this play is, what the hell was Robert Hagg doing? He just wasn't covering Anderson at all.
Yeah. And another thing was, I don't think Hagg expected it. This may be the only time that I defend Hagg, but I don't think he expected it to come off the boards like that because that was a weird bounce.
Yeah, it was a weird
because
bounce.
Like it's not like many arenas now don't have like that weird bounce. It's not like, the Joe Louis Arena where the Red Wings used to play, where it always had the real active boards where they'd shoot it and it would come flying out into the slot. Like I was just kind of weird, and I was just like, oh my god! Like I saw Anderson just turn and shoot it. I got the remote and I hit last, and it went back to the World Series. I'm like, I can't watch this anymore.
And so at this point, it's a 4-2 Columbus lead, and you're just thinking about it right now. Are the Flyers just gonna stand back and just be down on themselves? But no, the Flyers actually wake up from this because this third period, after this Columbus goal, the Flyers just dominate the rest of the period. It's just like that goal just woke them up. That goal sparked them in some way, some shape, and form to, we're not going to fall in this game. We're going to come back and win this.
That period kind of reminded me. I don't know if you remember this. It was a few years ago when they played Columbus, and they were down 3-0 going into the third, and then Coburn and Voracek scored. And then it was 4-2. I don't remember who scored. It might have been Boone Jenner because he was on the team at the time. I think it was like 2014. And then, like, the Flyers tied it. And then that was when Giroux had, like, that backhand goal from, like, the behind the goal line, which was, like, impossible.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Yeah. I think someone said that on Twitter that this, like, it wasn't, like, exactly this date from yesterday. I think it was, like, in December of 2013.
It was around that time, yeah. It was the 13-14 season.
Yeah, but it was, like, a similar type of situation. The Flyers were down in the third period, and they managed to come back and win that. I think Giroux scored the last 2 goals of that game. And I think that I think that backhanded goal, like from the red line, was his either 100th of his career or 200th of his career. I can't remember.
Something like that. And it was Voracek, Coburn, and then Gustafson made it 4-3. And then Giroux had that tying goal where like he dove at the side of the post, and
Yeah,
then he got that backhander.
yeah, the miracle shot.
Mhm.
And when you bring up the freaking name Eric Gustafson, oh my God, that is a blast from the past to
That
remember
just
what the
reminds me from Game 6 of 2014 when he had that breakaway.
Eric Gustafson. I remember when he was like one of our top prospects, and
Yeah,
I think we kind of ruined him, but I think he's over in Europe playing for some team or something like that. But
yeah.
that's a
Sounds like
blast
Andrew
from the
McDonald.
past. Yeah, basically. But his name was a blast from the past. Oh God, it's a terrible past. I don't want to remember it.
That's
So
you, man. Oh,
so going midway through this third period, this is before the 4-on-4 when Shane Gostisbehere gets his goal. So Travis Konechny draws a holding penalty, but on this ensuing waiting for the Columbus to touch the puck, the Flyers take their own penalty of their own to make it a 4-on-4. And it's actually when Travis Konechny draws the hook actually, not a hold. And the Flyers get a too many men on the ice penalty during this. I'm just like, how? How?
I hate that call, man.
Just how?
The only way that I think they should be able to call that if it's say it's so blatant that you can obviously tell on the TV that there's like 6 or 7 guys on the ice. But besides that, if they're in the middle of a change, or say if it's like the guys in the blue, like say they're in their own zone and they're chasing the dude already came on and that I can see. But like sometimes it's so close, I'm like, really?
It's just like the Flyers got something going their way, but then they just took it away by their own freaking force. It
Yeah.
was just, but even though the 4-on-4 became beneficial for him because Drew over the Shane Gostisbehere who blasted from the point, it
Yeah.
kind of gets help from it deflects off one of the Columbus players and into the net. But
Yeah, I think it was
Shane,
Foligno.
yeah, it was Foligno, I think, and it goes into the net for a 4-3 game, and it's Shane Gostisbehere's first goal of the season. And you could tell from that reaction from his goal, he was really pumped up to finally get that. So
Oh yeah.
hopefully he can wake up from that because he desperately needs to wake up
Yeah.
because like we both said in the beginning of this episode, he wasn't really that good this game besides that goal. Yes. So
I think I have an interesting point here. Do you
what?
think that if since Gostisbehere scored last night,
Yes.
do you think he was struggled so much defensively because he always worried about wanting to score a goal to just get it off his back and then maybe try to play better? Or do you think it was just like getting the monkey off his back and now he's going to try to continue with it, maybe, play at least more solid?
I think it's just like getting the monkey off his back because I just think
Yeah.
this, even though like for how good he was in the preseason, I just think like
Yeah.
he's getting too much into his own head. I
Yeah.
feel like that's his problem.
Well,
He gets
that's
into
what
his own
hockey
head.
is, man. Because if you don't score, if you're like, say you're like a pure goal scorer, say you don't score maybe a few games, like Johnny Gaudreau. I was watching the Heritage Classic last night. He hasn't scored it was 7 games going into last night. He didn't score last night either. He had an assist, but he didn't score. That's 8 games without a goal. And Johnny Gaudreau is a pure goal scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you could tell he was every time after they said it was 7 games without a goal. Whenever they said, here's Gaudreau or something with his name in it, he shot it. He must have had maybe 10 shots in that game. He had a breakaway in the first minute.
Yeah, I think it just takes for Gostisbehere to finally just get that thing off his back, and hopefully he can get out of his own head because he just went through probably one of the worst off seasons you could probably imagine with all the trade rumors spiraling around his
Oh
name.
yeah,
So you can't
that's
imagine
gotta
how
suck
much
for him, man.
that was affecting him. So
Right.
maybe he's like thinking I got to play so perfect that they can't trade me.
Mm-hmm.
So that maybe that's what's going through his head right now. I got to play so perfect to where they can't do anything with me. But
Yeah.
his play is not resembling that, and he needs to play simple. And that's what he needs to do, get that goal off his back like he did last night, and maybe he can build off of something. So hopefully that's something they can do. So after the 4-on-4 is cleared off, this is around like not even 2 minutes after Shane Gostisbehere scored. It's Ivan Provorov coming up the left side of the ice. He throws it in front of the net where James Van Riemsdyk is parked, and it goes right off his stick and redirects into the top of the net for a 4-4 tie and JVR's second goal of the night. And The Wells Fargo Center is going crazy after this, and it's a brand new game from the rest of the way because the Flyers are dominating. But what do you know? Sean Couturier takes a tripping penalty going around like 6 minutes left in this period, and I'm like, Sean, we just tied the game. Why are you taking a penalty? Because I think this is off of a turnover, and Couturier was trying to get the puck back, and he got a stick tangled up in one of the player's skates, and he took a penalty from it. And it was just, oh god, here we go again. But actually, the Flyers' penalty kill was actually pretty good this game, and the penalty kill remained good this game because you know what? Kevin Hayes intercepted a pass on the blue line. He takes it up. He's skating, and the entire arena is screaming at his name to score a damn goal. He dekes. Korpisalo stops the initial shot, but he gets his own rebound, and he buries it past Korpisalo for a 5-4 lead and a shorthanded goal for Kevin Hayes, our first shorthanded goal of the season. And the reaction from Kevin Hayes was just amazing. He was so excited, pumping up the entire crowd, and the Wells Fargo Center was once again going crazy. And I don't know, I don't know, man. That goal was just amazing.
That was a beautiful goal.
It was,
and what makes it even better is you see Gritty jumping around in the Wonder Woman suit that he had on.
Oh God!
You see him jumping in the corner and slamming on the glass. That's the best part about it.
I agree. I completely agree.
Whoever does that with Gritty needs a pay raise or something. Like, that is amazing.
It's funny when they had the costume contest, but I'll describe the costume contest when we get out of the analysis of this game because that was pretty funny. So after the Kevin Hayes goal, so Columbus is down 1 at this point, and with around like 2.5 to 1.5 minutes left, John Tortorella decides to pull Korpisalo for the extra man, and they can't do anything with that as Kevin Hayes takes it up the ice. He tries to put it on the net, but instead he gives it to Michael Raffl, who just buries it into the open net for a 6-4 Flyers lead and Raffl's third of the season. So pretty much that seals away the game, but Columbus takes a penalty with around I would say 20 seconds left in this game, and the Flyers get a power play from that. And what do you know? Travis Konechny absolutely snipes it one past Korpisalo to, just make the situation worse for the Blue Jackets.
Add insult to injury.
Yeah, add insult to injury. It was an absolute snipe of a shot. Travis Konechny gets his 5th goal of the season, and how many points does Konechny have now? Around 11, 12, 13? I know he's the leading point man right now. It's
something along those lines because I think Lindblom isn't really too far behind him because Lindblom has around 5 goals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Konechny has 12 points. He's got 5 goals and 7 assists in 9 games played.
Yeah, Konechny is just on another level right now.
Yeah. 2 of his 5 goals are power play goals.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. I know how much we say we want Drew and Voracek on their comfortable sides, Drew on the left side, Voracek on the right. Mm-hmm. But Travis Konechny looks very comfortable on that right side, even knowing he's a right-handed shot.
Yeah, Konechny's on a 4-game point streak right now, and 6 of his 12 points are power play points.
Oh boy, that second unit's doing a lot of damage because he's doing most of the damage for us. So
right.
That's something nice to see.
I think that Gostisbehere goal. Wait, no, I don't know why I even said that. That wasn't a power play goal, but the only power play goal. Did they even have a power play goal last night? I don't think they did.
Yes, it was the Travis Konechny power play goal in JV.
Oh yeah. You're right.
On the power play.
Yeah, so they had the first unit and the second unit.
Yeah, it's been more of the second unit scoring on the power play rather than the first one, but I think the first unit's been starting to wake up the past few games, which is a nice sign to see.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it's funny because the coaching staff, I don't know if you knew this or not, but the coaching staff they don't go by the units as first and second.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of just throw them together. And Bill Clement actually said something pretty funny. He's like, so I guess we'll know when the third unit gets out there, right?
Boy.
Something along them lines with say if Scott Laughton and
oh god. that is not a power play. With Scott Laughton on a power play is not a power play. Oh god.
Maybe for the face off, but besides that, that's it.
Yeah, not a power. No, it is. Oh god. I don't want to imagine Scott Laughton on a freaking power play. But speaking of Scott Laughton, when I mentioned that he blocked a shot in the second period and didn't return, so after this game ended, Scott Laughton has been confirmed that Laughton is going to be out 4 weeks with a broken finger. So that's a big loss right there for the Flyers. That's 4 weeks, basically a month right there. So he probably won't be back until around the end of November, beginning of December. So that's a long time without Scott Laughton, who has been really good this season to start off. He's one of
Right.
our best penalty killers, and playing on that third line with Kevin Hayes and Joel Farabee, that line just looked like they had a lot of chemistry in the world.
Yeah.
And right now with Scott Laughton out, it looks like the man that's going to be going in is Tyler Pitlick, but we're really not sure like what line he's going to go on. I think they're just going to slot him in on that third line left wing spot where Laughton was playing. So even though a lot of fans probably thought this was going to be the moment when Morgan Frost was going to be called up, but yet again, you get thrown in your face. The Flyers don't have cap space to call Frost up.
As of now, they have $115,620 in cap space.
Yeah, that's not nowhere close to it to be calling up Morgan Frost.
No,
even
Frost's contract is like, what is it? He's still on his ELC, so that's
he's on his ELC.
He gets $863,333 until 2022-2023. That's when he's RFA.
Yeah, he's no way in hell he was going to get called up with the low amount of cap space that we have.
He's played good.
He has played good.
He's got 6 points in the last 4 games with the Phantoms. He scored on Friday night, and he had an assist last night in the Phantoms 3-2 win over Charlotte. But they do not have. I mean, I would love to see him up, but that's one of Fletcher's biggest flaws. I think you've said that many times before, because that's just the one thing Fletcher's not good at is money, and that's showing right now. But I don't even want to talk about the money.
Yeah, it's showing right now, but the team is doing good right now, so it's like. Yeah. It's something to worry about, but it's like something that's off to the side right now because the team's like playing really well at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still like you can't really call up anyone because unless you like put someone on LTIR, but they're not gonna put Owen on LTIR. He's only out for like a month, so
and they're not gonna put Pitlick on the LTIR either. Sorry, I didn't mean to say
Patrick.
That. Yeah, Patrick, my bad.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen with Nolan Patrick? It's just like with Nolan Patrick, all that matters is that he gets better. So like, do not rush him back into the lineup whatsoever. So
no,
I am completely fine with Tyler Pitlick going into the lineup.
Yeah,
it's not going to mess.
He's played pretty well in the games that he's played. He hasn't done much, but he hasn't done anything necessarily bad that was like, oh my God, Pitlick's horrible. Flyers Twitter will probably deny that, but. All right. So, how many Gritty costumes did you see last night?
From the kids' side, I would say that maybe like 1 or 2. And it was actually one kid on the kids' side that wore a Gritty costume, and it was a baby, and he won the costume contest because babies, and they automatically win because they're babies.
All right.
So, that the Gritty kid won, and for the adult side, the 3 finalists were the Captain Obvious from those hotel commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Crybaby Sidney Crosby is literally a guy wearing a Penguins jersey with a cardboard cutout of a baby on his face. And my favorite one was there was just a lady dressed in a Gritty mask, but it was a girl Gritty mask, so it was like Gridette or something like that. So that was my favorite one because Gritty's reaction the entire time was just like, no, go away. Go away.
And even Gritty, as I said, he had the Wonder Woman costume, and they had like a video of him on Instagram, and then on Gritty's Instagram story, it had him like sliding on the ice with like the old Wonder Woman theme song of like the old '60s cartoon.
Yeah. And it was funny too when before I was sitting in my seats, there was like music playing throughout the concourse. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because it's like increasingly, it like started off soft, but then like it got louder as soon as it like got. I guess it was getting closer to me or something like that. But it was like an entourage of like the cheerleaders and like the fun patrol dressed in costumes following Gritty on one of his like motorized like little wheeled things. I forget what it's called.
The hoverboard.
Yeah, the hoverboard, and they're just like. I forget what song they were playing, but they were just playing that for going throughout the concourse in his Wonder Woman outfit.
Oh man,
that was pretty funny, pretty funny. So before we talk about tonight's game coming against the Pittsburgh Penguins, no, not the Pittsburgh Penguins. What the hell am I saying? That's Tuesday's game. Tonight's game is against the New York Islanders. I was jumping ahead 2 days for some reason. I have no idea why. I guess I'm looking really forward to that Pittsburgh game that I completely forgot about the Islanders. So before we get into the little discussion about the Islanders game tonight, let's pause for a little bit from a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm one of the hosts of Massive Late Fee. Do you remember Blockbuster? Well, we do, and we racked up a lot of late fees there. That's why we're glad there's things like Netflix, Hulu, and Blockbuster has died, mostly because of us. We cover streaming shows and pretty much whatever we want. Join us every Thursday as we talk TV and movies on Massive Late Fee. You can find us at Massive Late Fee on Twitter, Massive Late Fee on Facebook. You can email the show at massivelatefee@gmail.com, and you can find us at MySpace, Massive Late Fee. Massive Late Fee, the best podcast we can think of.
And welcome back to the Flyered Up podcast. So, as I was scrambled thinking that tonight was Pittsburgh, but no, that's Tuesday. So tonight the Flyers actually play the New York Islanders at Nassau Coliseum tonight at 7 p.m. And tonight's projected goaltenders are going to be Carter Hart for the Philadelphia Flyers and Semyon Varlamov for the New York Islanders. And Varlamov has actually gotten off to a pretty decent start for the Islanders. He's 3-2-0 on the season with a 2.42 goals against average, a 921 save percentage. No shout-outs to his name. But then opposing Carter Hart, this will be his first start in probably a week or something like that. And Hart's goals against average, well, his record so far, 2-2-1, 2.59 goals against average, and an 890 save percentage with one shutout. So, yeah, that few couple games where Hart struggled, especially against games like the Edmonton game and the Dallas game, really dropped his save percentage down a lot. So this is a game where Carter Hart, he wasn't in net for a while. He had time to rest. He had time to think. So hopefully this will be a game for him where he can come in and just go in and play his game. That's all he has to do. And Chris, what are your thoughts going into this game tonight?
Well, the Islanders, they're on a 6-game win streak right now. So I'm hoping if the Flyers can continue what they did these last 3 games, I know I said that before going into the game last night against the Blue Jackets, but if the Flyers can definitely go into this game with the way that they played last night, with all that momentum on their side, coming back 2 goals down, I'm hoping that they can win because if the Islanders have won 6 straight, they're due for a loss at some point. So it's I'm kind of hoping that they win, but then again, I'm not going to say that they're going to win, but I'm not going to declare a loss either. But I'm hoping that they can go into it and at least play a good game, whether they lose or win or not.
Yeah, but the Islanders on this winning streak that they're currently on, some of those games, like me and you have discussed, that they haven't really played the best hockey. They were lucky to win some of those games, the game against the Columbus Blue Jackets that they played.
Yeah, I think they were down 2-0 in that game, and they ended up coming back and winning 3-2 in overtime. But besides that, they haven't necessarily played up to par, I would say. From what we saw from them from last year, 3 of those games went into overtime or shootout. The game against Columbus, the Blues, when they played them on the 14th, and then the Panthers on the 12th. They started the season 1-3, and then that last loss that they came to the Hurricanes at the time, who were 5-0, and that was on October 11th. So they just beat the Senators on Friday night, and they played Thursday night against the Coyotes at home. They won that game 4-2, and then they played the Senators in Ottawa, and Nick Leddy scored on a penalty shot. I think that was the first ever Islanders defenseman to get a penalty shot goal, which was kind of weird. But they ended up winning that game 4-2, and the Senators, who were 2-7-1, so that was kind of obvious that they were going to win that one.
No, the Senators should be an easy win, but can't say that for the Tampa Bay Lightning because they lost to Ottawa.
Yeah, that is true.
But going into this game, as to say last night, it's good to see the Flyers are on a stretch right now, facing Metro Division opponents. And right now against the Metro Division, I think we're 2-0 currently. 1 win against the New Jersey Devils, and now a win against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So that's a nice way to start off your season against the Metropolitan Division. But now you're getting tests in the New York Islanders, you're getting tests in the Pittsburgh Penguins, and once again, you're going to be playing New Jersey next Friday. So this is going to be a nice stretch to see how the Flyers can face up against their division rivals. And as for when we played the Metro last year, we really did struggle last year against our own division, which was one of the main reasons why we didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Even though the team on the ice sucked as well, but playing bad against your division is not going to get you into the playoffs. So the Flyers need to change the script this season and play good against their division,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be a major key going into the stretch of games.
Right.
And I would say for predictions in this game, like you were talking about, like you can't guarantee a win, you can't guarantee a loss, but I'm sensing a Flyers win right here, but I'm sensing it's going to be in the overtime. I feel this is an overtime game.
Honestly, I think I might. I think I'm actually going to agree with you on this one because now that I think about it, it's like the Flyers are playing good right now. So are the Islanders, and from last few years and from these last few games, Flyers do play good against good teams.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Vegas and Columbus, who honestly everyone thought who was going to be at the basement of the Metro in Columbus, but now they were like around like 4-3-2 or 5-3-2 coming into last night's game, so they were actually playing pretty well. And as you said, Korpisalo was playing well for them too. But I think I definitely think that if the Flyers play the way they have these last two games, they should be just fine in tonight's game. And if they do, I'm going to say it's an overtime as well.
And do you think Joel Farabee gets his first goal tonight?
No. I am going to say he gets it against the Penguins.
I actually like that option from you. I'm going to say my happy choice would be if the Flyers were to win this in overtime, would be Joel Farabee winning it. But
I was saying that last night to my dad. I was saying if this game goes to overtime, wouldn't it be great if Farabee gets the overtime winner?
Yeah, but then I'm also thinking in the back of my mind, would Alain Vigneault use Joel Farabee in the 3-on-3 overtime? Because that also cleared my mind. But who knows what's going to happen? But that would be my happy thought. But I do feel the Flyers would win this in overtime, and it's probably going to be a guy like, I would say, Kevin Hayes, Travis Konechny, Claude Giroux, one of those guys. Maybe Sean Couturier, who knows? But I feel Carter Hart is definitely going to bounce back from his two sluggish starts from last week. I remember in the preseason when he played against the Islanders, he was basically lights out for half of the game. So maybe that's something he looks into coming, even though preseason's nothing to judge on. But maybe Carter Hart comes in this game with more confidence, that he's played in Nassau already in the preseason and he played really good. Maybe he can build off of that, and maybe he can just like wipe the slate clean from his last week's messy starts against the Edmonton Oilers and the Dallas Stars, and he comes up with some big saves for the Flyers tonight. And I do feel like the Flyers are going to win this game in overtime, but I feel like it's going to be not a high scoring affair. I feel like this will be around the 3-2 to 2-1 range.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, because the Flyers have scored a ton of goals in their previous two games. So
they've outscored opponents 17-7. So it's like I don't expect them to get.
Yeah, we're due for a low scoring game.
Right.
So after this Islanders game, the Flyers do face the Pittsburgh Penguins on Tuesday. That's going to be a very nice matchup. Our first matchup of the season against our most hated cross-state rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then this upcoming Friday, we'll be up against the New Jersey Devils in New Jersey. And then this upcoming Saturday at home, once again, it'll be against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the first time we get to see guys like Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner at home at the Wells Fargo Center for the first time this season. So interesting week of hockey coming up and some big tests for the Flyers as well. So hopefully the Flyers can make a name for themselves and continue on with this 3-game win streak, maybe push it to 4 or 5. That'll be something good. Because if they can push this to 4 or 5, then we're really starting to talking about how good this team can possibly be. So, Chris, do you feel the Flyers can push this win streak up?
I'm going to say it goes to 5, and then maybe lose like 1 or 2, and then continue with that win streak again. But, I'm going to say 5. I'm going to say they win tonight against the Islanders, and then they beat the Penguins, and then I know you're going to call me crazy, but I think they might lose to New Jersey.
They do. The Flyers do struggle in New Jersey, so I can see why you say that. So I'm going to call you crazy for now. I'll call you crazy for the time being until Friday comes. So,
right.
So that's a wrap for this podcast. The Flyers with the amazing comeback victory against the Columbus Blue Jackets yesterday. 3 guys on our team, Voracek, JVR, Kevin Hayes, each get 3 points. The offense really stepping up for Brian Elliott when he doesn't have his best night. Shane Gostisbehere gets his first goal. And just an overall great game against the Columbus Blue Jackets and shaping up for a really good matchup tonight against the New York Islanders. Carter Hart gets his first start in around a week since he struggled against the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. And now Scott Laughton being out for weeks, it looks like Tyler Pitlick is going to be slopped back into the lineup. sorry, Flyers fans who were hoping Morgan Frost was going to get called up, but he's probably not going to get called up with the cap space that we have right now. So don't get your hopes up. So without further ado, this podcast, we will see you in the next episode. Hopefully we can push for a Flyers win tonight to make that winning streak 4 games. So without further ado, I'm Amadeo Gracia. He is Chris Mayer. See you guys in the next episode.